Hey, 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 everyone. Welcome to our session today with the beautiful Kora. She's here to go super deep with us in all things manifestation, intentions, and having the power within you to really turn your life around. So, if you can hear us, please make sure you just leave a comment. Make sure the sound is working. If you're catching the replay, just do hashtag replay and let us know where you're tuning in from. Kora and I connected in the last few months around business and manifestation and really setting ourselves up in our own businesses, but really, focus on empowering women and allowing them to really just explore what's possible in life. So welcome, Kora. Good to have you.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to share.
Yeah, there's so much goodness coming, and I can see some comments coming through. So welcome to everybody watching live. Make sure if you have any questions, just drop them in there as well. If we don't get back to them on the video, we will get back to them in the comments afterwards as well. So can you just explain the law of attraction as simply and effectively as possible, and how we can use this consciously to transform our life, really?
Yeah, absolutely. So the law of attraction, there is a bit to this, so I will try and simplify it. And it's funny, there are actually 12 universal laws, which the law of attraction it's kind of the only mainstream one that gets spoken about, and it's all on the concept that like attracts like, and what we put out we get back. And that absolutely is correct. And it's based on, we're all energy. Everything in the world is energy. And I am not a science girl, so I don't want to butcher this. I'm not going to talk too much about the actual science behind it, but I know some of us with our logical brain kind of find it hard to trust manifestation and the law of attraction, and we doubt our ability to create a reality. But the truth of it is, like I said, everything is energy. We are energetic, vibrational beings. They have measured that in science, and it all comes back to the quantum field and how basically everything that we want exists in this quantum field, and we can manifest that just by aligning with it energetically. So everything has a frequency, and when you talk about the law of attraction, it does come back to that, like attracts like, what you put out you get back. And I guess, to give you an example of that, I'm sure you can all think of a day where maybe you've woken up on the wrong side of the bed, or woken up to the kids crying or screaming or something like that, and straight away you're just in a bit of a mood, a bit foul, and then you get up and you stub your toe, and then you spill your coffee on yourself, you get stuck in traffic, because that's what we're putting out. So that's the experience we are creating for ourselves. So yeah, let us know in the comments below. I'm sure, like I said, you can all relate to one of those days. And then likewise, on those days when we're feeling good and things are going well, and it just feels like everything's flowing, and we're laughing and we're playing and we're having fun, and then we're receiving inspiration, and we get all the green lights, and maybe get free coffee, or it's all that same thing. What we put out we get back. However, like I said, the law of attraction, it's the mainstream law, but until you understand some of the other ones, it's not really the one that changes your life. I know, because I played around with the law of attraction for a couple of years and wasn't really seeing any big changes. And it wasn't really until I learned about the law of resonance, which really talks about how we don't get what we want, we get who we are being. So you really, to get these things that you want, you need to become a different version of yourself. And so obviously, a lot of us, we're women in business, we want something in our business. And for me, looking back when I started coaching, I wanted 10K months straight away. Network marketing, like, yep, I want 10K months. And I learned about, the law of attraction, and I was doing these things. And looking back, I'm like, there's no bloody way I was going to create this, because I wasn't embodying that version of me who would be having 10K months. So, yeah, anyway, I've probably gone on a little bit long there, but to understand basically, yeah, like attracts like, what we put out we get back, but it's also who we are being is what we manifest. So like I said, if you want to be building this big beautiful business, well, how does that version of you show up? What does she believe? What action does she take? How does she think, and how does she feel on a daily basis? Because the quantum field responds to our thoughts and our feelings So what we're putting out, we get back. But yeah, let me know if you've got any questions around that before I go too far into it.
No, that's perfect, and absolutely getting into the energy of being that person. That's where a lot of things started shifting for me, and I know I talk a lot about this with my team, is that the leader that you're looking to become, that has all this success and the money coming in and the results and where she wants to be in her business, you have to become that person before you see those results. Because if you're still acting out your limitations, or you're acting out as a beginner or a new person in the space, and you keep repeating those behaviors, you're going to keep getting those same results. So yeah, I know that for me, that was really a really powerful lesson in becoming the version first and then seeing the results come through. So how important is it to work on our deep-rooted beliefs and clearing our blocks to enable us to actually manifest what we're looking for?
It's absolutely, it's key. It's the foundation. There is no point going out and taking action until you've really, sorry, I won't say until you've done this work, because it's an ongoing process. But for example, you know, there's no point going out and saying, yeah, I'm going to sign, you know, 3 new team members this week, or 3 actions, if you have a deep-seated belief that you're not good enough, that you're scared of success, you know, that nobody likes you or nobody wants to work with you, all of these things. And they're really common beliefs. Pretty much none of us escape childhood without them, because, you know, they've been handed down from generation to generation. We all have a mother and father wound in some way. And until we can identify these and address them, they just secretly sabotage you, playing out in the background, because your subconscious mind is running the show, you know, 90% of the time. So like I said, no amount of action is going to outdo a shitty belief system that's telling you all these reasons for why you can't have this success. This is your work. This is the key to getting every single thing that you want in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Money stories, self-belief issues, self-worth issues, all of these things will be running in the background and holding you back. Even if you're consciously on track to achieve a certain goal, if you're not clearing up those subconscious beliefs and those limiting decisions that, you know, and you would have experienced in your work, they're usually not even ours. Like, are they? They're usually coming from someone else that we've taken them on from. So yeah.
100%, yeah. So many, and I'm sure a lot of you would be able to look at your life now, and how is it similar to your parents, you know, because like we've just talked about, it's, you know, our beliefs create our thoughts and our habits, and that dictates the action that we take. So we often have very similar outcomes in our relationships, our finances, our goals, as what really our grandparents and parents have had, because yeah, we take a lot of it on from them.
Absolutely. And I know your story just recently as well, like you've been sharing how you went from $200 in the bank to like really struggling and sort of playing out those stories that you had, you know, ingrained in you, to over $20,000 months and brand new clients. And so can you share a little bit about how you've been able to have something you've desired and that you've been able to manifest?
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of just reflecting on some of my stuff earlier, and obviously, like you just said, I've been able to build a really successful coaching business, which I'm so grateful for. And you know, I look at you know, other people's stories in the industry, and it happened really quite quickly for me, which I'm so grateful for. You know, it was only about 6 months from when I started to reaching that point, which, you know, to build a brand new business with no business experience from the ground, I'd say that's pretty cool. So, and that's by doing this work. And it's interesting, when I first started coaching, I thought I knew about manifestation. I knew about the law of attraction. I knew about like versus like. And I was like, cool, I thought I was ready to go out and coach people. But it wasn't until I hired my manifestation coach that she introduced me to this belief work. I'm like, oh my God, this is what people are talking about. So yeah, I had to let go of all the, you know, who the hell am I to be doing this work, all these stories. But it happened so quickly. You know, things start to shift so quickly when you do this work. So like I said, it was about 6 or 7 months of that work to get me to that point. And then the last one that I did was my money story. Like you said, I felt like I'd cleaned up all the I'm not enough and who the hell am I, and I'd made peace with my past and let go of that. But it wasn't until I sat down with my money story that things really, really blew up for me, because yeah, it's all well and good if you feel good enough, but if you think money's evil and money's hard to get and it's hard to keep, then that's still going to be your experience. So yeah, really addressing all those things that you said, beliefs around your self-worth, around money, and just around, all of that stuff is kind of the key to what's allowed me to get to this point. And you'll find that it's an up level in every area of your life. My relationship it's nothing like it used to be. My relationships with my kids, they don't trigger the hell out of me anymore. Well, some days, but not the same as what they used to. I've lost about 20 kilograms, and it's easy because I've released those old emotions and the stories that I had around my body and food. So this is the real work. If you want to improve your life in every way, this is the work to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. And it's really interesting watching people on the journey, going through the journey, being okay when things are good. But obviously when we're in challenging situations, we can fall back into those old beliefs. So it's a really good time for us in those challenges to fall back into questioning why we're doing what we're doing and what we choose to believe instead, because we can feel like we've got it all together, but then as soon as a big bill comes in, we can either fall back into worrying about the expense of it, or trusting that the money will be there to cover it. So like you said before, we're always on the journey. It doesn't just get done with a process or with a system. It's always continuous. New blocks, new questions will come up, and we get to choose and recommit to all of those, which is really exciting. Do you have a formula that you follow, or do you sort of more intuitively be guided towards your manifestations?
So I guess I have the same kind of tools that I sit down and use each day. But like you said, it's always, I heard a saying the other day, new level, new devil. There are always different things to overcome. And I'm sure you can all relate to this. There are times in your life where you feel on top of the world, and maybe you'll be doing visualizing or journaling or going out and taking action. And then there'll be times where things, it's time to go within and do more of that shadow work, as people call it. And that's where I'll sit down and maybe do some forgiveness or do some inner child work, really rewriting those beliefs. But on a consistent basis, I'm working on my money story. Because even again, like you said, it's like, cool, I sat down and did it foundationally to allow me to get to this point in my business. And then it's like, a new set of beliefs come up. Can I continue this? Can I keep scaling? Can I get these results that I promised? So new level, new devil, it's an ongoing process. So I do have the same set of tools that I use, but it applies to different things. But generally, I make a really conscious effort to start my day right. So sitting down with a meditation, and whatever feels good for you, passive or active meditation, you can kind of look up the difference in those. I like active because my brain doesn't like to chill ever. So that might be visualizing or journaling. Gratitude is massive. It's one of the fastest ways to shift your energy. And like you said before, we're always kind of faced with these times when we're going to be tested to, how much do you want this? Is this really your new belief? Like you said, if you get a bill, start to be grateful for that bill, because it means that you've got some kind of service, that you're being provided for. So yeah, I pretty much have the same tools, but go through kind of cycles for which I'm really focusing on, like you said, depending on intuitively what I'm feeling called to do.
Yeah, that's it. The tools are there, but the intention behind them will shift towards what you're working on and what you're focusing on. Definitely. Yep. What is one thing that you feel many people could do better when it comes to manifesting? Like, obviously, it's for some of us, it's a new concept. For some of us, we've been trying for years and years and years and not getting the results. I've spoken to people myself that, give it a go, but then they give up on it because it's not working. So what do you see? You obviously work with a lot of clients specifically in manifesting their goals, that we could do better, or that we could implement to actually help support us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so sad. I see it a lot as well. People, I tried it, once or twice, but it didn't work. This isn't just a once or twice thing. This is a lifestyle. Commit to it as a lifestyle change. And just like everything, nothing happens overnight. So just ensuring that you have the right tools to begin with, because like I said, I spent about 2 years doing what I call the superficial stuff, which doesn't change you on a fundamental level. So it's not going to change your reality, because our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So start with the deep work, start with the heavy stuff, the limiting beliefs, the feeling not enough. inner child work, all of those things are going to allow you to see your reality shift the fastest. And then the other thing is building your believability. Don't go out there literally like what I did and was like, I'm going to manifest, I'm going to win the lottery. I did that, guys. I sat down and used those superficial things, and sure enough, it didn't manifest for me, and I was devastated. So then it makes you question it. Start with little things, because it doesn't trigger the same kind of resistance for you. So, if you're like, I'm going to manifest a free coffee this week, that's probably not going to create, too many stories around it. But if, like I said, you say, I'm going to win the lottery, everything in your body and your beliefs is going to say, no, you're bloody not. Who are you kidding? You don't deserve that. You don't know anyone who's won the lottery. Okay, so start smaller, build your believability, and then allow them to become bigger as you work through this stuff and see it. And the other thing is build trust in the universe, God, the divine, whatever word you want to give it, because there are forces here much greater than us that support us with this. We know there's the quantum field, and building your trust in that, that is what got me through those times when, like Jess said, we literally had $200 in the bank. We had 2 young kids to feed. We were selling our belongings, and we had no idea where we were going to get more money from. I was already so connected. I'd been on my journey for 3.5 years. I was so connected to the universe. Look for signs, look for repeating numbers, look for all these things. I worked with cards. I knew we were going to be okay. I knew that I was being tested. I knew that I was about to come into a lot of money, and it was just like, you just have to push through. And so that's what I told myself. That's what I reminded myself of. If I didn't have that trust and that faith, that would have absolutely broken us. Okay, so just build your belief in what you're doing. Surround yourself with people who get it, who have been on the journey for a while, and follow theirs, because it makes you be like, oh my gosh, this stuff works. If they can do this and they're sharing how, then I can do it too. Okay, so start with the heart, start with the deep work, build your belief, and build your trust in the forces here to support us as well.
Yeah, absolutely love that. It's like went out big and I wanted to manifest big stuff, build our house by the end of the year and all these sort of things. But every time it doesn't come through as quickly as what we think it should, we get a little bit disheartened. So I have found as well that focusing on the smaller things and building that belief, and as a personal trainer and working with clients in the gym and that sort of thing, it takes time to build that muscle. Like, you want to get that muscle stronger over time by triggering it and challenging it small until it gets to that resilience level. So same thing with our belief system. We just want to build it up so that we create those anchor points that remind us that, hey, this came through for us. The angel numbers, we see them. There's a girlfriend, Nikki, and I, and we text each other all the time. We're like 111 and 222. They're always true. So it's really amazing. If anyone has any questions, just drop them in the chat, because we're going to wrap up shortly. Is there any final words, or a group or a program or anything that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I guess my final words would be that you really do have the power to create anything that you want. And like I said, surround yourself with people who are already on this journey, who are a few steps ahead of you, who have had things manifest, so that you really do build that belief. That's one of the biggest mistakes I made, even in network marketing, surrounding myself with people who didn't get it, who make you doubt yourself. Cut that from your life, okay? Allow yourself to dream big, and then show up every day. Really embody that version of you that would be taking that. Like I said before, I wanted a booming business in network marketing, but was inconsistent, believed I wasn't good enough, believed no one wanted to join. Get your beliefs on point. This is the real work. Everything else comes easy once you do this. So really, commit to this. Your life will never be the same. You will never feel the same, and you will start to see results, and then you'll be totally hooked, like what I am. And if you, like you said about a program or anything, well, if you love the sound of all of this and you're like, oh my God, I need this in my life, but maybe you're feeling kind of like what we've mentioned, you've tried it before and it hasn't come through, well then absolutely, reach out. You'll see my name in the group. I've just opened the doors to my Manifesting Queen Collective Group program, where I'm compiling all of this stuff, everything that I've learned over the last 4 years that have allowed me to, manifest my amazing engagement ring, my son after a miscarriage and an ectopic. I've healed my relationship, like we said, my beautiful business, all my soul clients. And apart from that, just the feeling of being fully supported, knowing that everything is going to work out, knowing that you're provided for, just feeling better on a daily basis. You know, I used to be so anxious and depressed. There's no more of that, because when you do this work, all of that goes. So if you feel like you need that in your life, absolutely, this program will change your life. It will never, your life will never be the same again. So if you feel like that's for you and it's speaking to you, please do reach out. Either, I'm sure Jess, you wouldn't mind if they touch base with you first, and you can put us in contact, or directly with me. I would absolutely love to hear from you and see where you're at, and map out your big vision and your next moves toward that, because you truly can have anything that your heart desires. And I'm here to show you how you can have that.
Yeah, absolutely. We can all have everything that we desire and that we dream of, and it's all possible. And you know, like Kora said, we just got to get around the right people, get around the right support networks, and really just build that belief that we're here for a reason and we're here to make amazing things happen. So absolutely awesome to have you here today, Kora. We should have you back again for another chat and share some more manifesting magic. And thanks everybody for their comments. Let us know what your biggest takeaway was, what you're going to go away and implement from today. And yeah, just reach out directly to me or Kora if you want more information on her manifesting program. So have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolutely, would love to come back and chat more. But yeah, have an amazing day. I'll speak to you all again soon, okay?
Bye.
Bye.